Hi everyone, welcome to Straight Talk with Steph with me, Steph Beatty, property investor and mentor. I am here today with Danielle from Spacetime VA that offers everything virtual assistant wise. We're going to be talking about everything from our career change from teaching into business, what it's like being a woman in business and wherever the conversation takes us. If this is something that takes your fancy, hit that subscribe button and give us a little follow. So Danielle, thanks for joining me and coming on this podcast, and thanks for driving all the way as well, because no, it's not.
All right.
We both live in North Wales, so it wasn't easy to get to. Well, it was, but it was a bit far. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about you, because you were a primary school teacher and you left teaching to be a founder of your own business?
I know, how scary, right? Yeah. So I was a primary school teacher for 17 years. Loved it for the majority of the time. I'd say it's the last 3 years that it was like, right, I want out now. I'm one of those people that I have to do something and I have to have a purpose. And I felt like I was flogging a dead horse. I was kind of trying to show everybody how to teach creatively, how to teach through expressive arts, how to be holistic, in the approach and everything. And yeah, people did it as a tick box, but they didn't believe it. They weren't passionate about it. Kids became numbers, the strains from the government, from the council, it got to me completely. People coming into school, as in new teachers, yes, I'm going to go there, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah,
people coming in, I think, and I'm not speaking for everybody, obviously, but the calibre, I think, of new teachers coming into the system is just not what it was. The majority, I'm just kind of generalising there. And I think lots of the teachers that are damn good at what they do are going and they're leaving. And it was destroying me. It was breaking my heart. It was destroying me. And I thought, well, what's more important here? Like somebody else's kids or my sanity, my health, my own kids. And yeah, that's why I went. It wasn't easy. I was off for 3 months with stress. And I used those 3 months to kind of think, right, this is my chance. I'm the only person that can change it. I'm the only person that can sort this out. So looked into what a VA was. Didn't know what a VA was. I was like, what's that? Somebody local to me is a VA and she's like, oh, just come and see what I do. And I thought, I can do a bit of that. Like I'm organised. I'm a bit OTT with getting to places on time. And so I just researched it. I put myself on LinkedIn. Loved LinkedIn, messed about with it. There was no pressure because I was still teaching. And I just posted. It was almost like a blog. It was just, this is me. I'm daft. I'm going to build my own business. There was just no pressure. So I just went for it, enjoyed it. And then I started doing that. And I think it was like the August 2022. And then the January 2023, LinkedIn just went. And that's where the business grew. And I reduced my days at school. I went from 4 days to 3 days, from 3 days to 2 days, and then left. But I only officially left last Christmas, 31st of December.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I only left completely then.
Yeah.
And there's 12 of us in the business now. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's not easy, but it's exciting. It's,
and it's yours.
It's mine. And it's become, I've always been such a sensible, safe person who hates risk with everything, and now I'm like, oh, this is risky.
But I like it. It's liberating as well, because you're not relying on other people to pay you.
Yeah.
It's on you.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And a lot of the time, I'm very similar. Sometimes I've thought, oh my God, would it be easier if I go back into teaching?
But you'd lose money now.
I would lose money. And it got to a point for me, it was costing me money to be in school. Yeah. And it's interesting what you said. I just want to go back to when you were saying about teaching. It's not what it was. The calibre of teachers coming in. I mean, I'm sure they will get to a point where they will be as good as us.
I know, that sounds really bitchy, doesn't me saying that? But it is. It's true. It used to be so difficult to get your degree, to pass your teaching placement. The standards were up here. And now I just feel like,
well, people are leaving the profession. People are leaving because they're thinking, well, actually, it doesn't pay me what I actually need to survive. And people are thinking it's not worth the stress. But because people are leaving the profession, that means that we're in a recruitment crisis for teachers. And unfortunately, that means accepting people where we never would. I mean, I've trained, you probably like you, trained a lot of trainee teachers, mentored them, brought them through the ranks, and you make sure that you do a damn good job with them. You put them through their paces. But by the end of it, okay, yeah, they've been trained by me. I went through it, and now you're going through it, and you're going to be a damn good teacher.
Yeah.
Because you can't lose sight of what you do it for. You do it for those kids in front of you to improve their life chances through education. I got very much at a point where I was ready to leave. It was costing me money to stay in my job, but it was like flogging a dead horse. The standard wasn't there, and kids become numbers. I do think that the curriculum change in Wales has helped, because it's very much more skills focused and very much focused on what they can do post school.
It has if schools implement it properly, though.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is there's no guidance on how to implement it properly. It's your own version. It's your interpretation, you know?
Yeah.
And if you are creative, great, it can be done. But if you're a school that are quite militant, quite formal, quite, you know...
Which we know that style of schooling doesn't work. We know that style of teaching doesn't work. And especially when we think about 20% of our kids are neurodiverse, that militant style of school, the traditional, it's just not, it's not feasible. And what are we churning out of schools? Kids who think that they're, you know, it's had that militant style, it's not creative, the learning isn't embedded. And what as a result at the end of that, kids who leave school thinking, oh, I could have done better, or I was told I could have done better, I haven't done as well as I should be, because we're assessing them based on some ridiculous standards.
Well, look at what we do now.
Yeah.
Look at our jobs, right? To do what I do, I don't need anything.
Same.
I don't need any qualifications.
No.
I need a personality, to be half decent at social media, to be organised. Okay, don't get me wrong, like teaching and everything has kind of given me the skill set, probably given me the leadership skills, the confidence, you know, all of it. But you just, it used to be, didn't it? Oh, you finish school, do your A-levels, go and get a degree, you know, get a good job. And now it's just so different.
It is. And I feel like we're in a bit of a hustle culture at the moment, where people are trying to make money alongside their normal jobs, because obviously their normal jobs aren't paying them enough. But what I really love about it is that they're taking that risk, but they've still got, like we did, the job there, the security. But it come at a cost for me, and obviously for you as well, if you were off with stress. Was it the job, or was it having your job alongside your business that caused that for you?
So this was before the business.
Right.
This was before the business, and it was a mixture of the job. So I was at the point where I didn't want to go and be deputy head. I didn't want to do my head. And everyone's like, oh, you should. So it's like, no, I didn't want to. So I think what I struggled with at that moment was new teachers coming in that were, how can I say it, very, very confident in their abilities, very headstrong, wouldn't take feedback on board, you know, and I was genuinely just trying to help people, to make them better teachers, to help those children. And it just became like a bit of a hierarchy battle. And it was like, that's not what I'm about. I'm here to educate children, not to have some kind of like point scoring thing with you guys. And it got to the point, and I remember driving home that day, actually, I was literally in my car, just floods of tears, my best friend who was at school on the phone, and I was just like, that's it, I'm not going back, I'm not doing it. And I just went to the doctors, and I was like, I just can't go with this, you know, and panic attacks the lot, which is just not me, absolutely not me. So it got me good and proper, which I suppose I am quite resentful for. I am angry that it did that to me. You know, but
and you're probably one of many as well. I know a lot of people who were off with stress. I remember, myself included, I mean, I remember not even recognising it as stress though. I got really poorly, not in the last school I was in, it was the school before that. I got really poorly, gastroenteritis, just awful, and I had a school trip the next day, and I was like, I had to pass it over to everybody else, and there was one particular person who I think didn't find, I felt like I almost had to convince people I was ill. Like I had to fully explain myself.
When you had to ring in sick, when you were genuinely sick.
The guilt. And then even when you're ringing in sick, you're still thinking, shit, I've got lessons. I've still got to send my lesson
Yeah.
plans over, and I've
Yeah.
still got to, and you're sick. What other job? I don't know. There might be many, but what other job do you ring in sick for, and then have to sit in bed with your laptop and
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can get everybody else's
And you're getting
shit
questions,
sorted,
text
and you
you,
still get emails.
where's so-and-so's
Yeah.
inhaler? Or,
Yeah,
stuff
and
like
you're
that.
like, what the fuck? I'm not well, and then it sets you back. But it was almost like feeling guilty and having to convince people that I wasn't well. I got COVID as well. A couple of years ago, it's about 2.5 years ago, and it made me really ill. I must have been like that long COVID or something. But I probably could have gone back maybe a week before. I did go back, but just the thought of actually going in filled me with that dread and that anxiety, and it was just the acknowledgement of it that actually it's probably time. This year is the time. It's getting harder and harder, and I think I just got sick of being a teacher of exams. I was a teacher of English. All right, in English you are teaching them skills. It's literacy, isn't it? Reading, writing, oracy. But it got to a point where it's right, this is how you answer this question of the exam. What a piss poor way of assessing somebody's ability.
Do you know what?
It's
I've
just
noticed
awful.
that when I went to my eldest parents' evening lately. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was brilliant parenting. I love the school, all the rest of it. But it was very much, we did this GCSE style question, and and these are the marks they got, and we did this, and this is how you answer this. And I was sat there thinking, wow, like it really is all about exams.
It's like a little factory. And that's what worries me now, having obviously left the profession, the secondary education sector. What worries me about this next generation of children in school, and I suppose it might have been the same when we were in school, how much longer are we going to churn them through exams as a method of assessing what they're actually capable of? Like you said before, to do what you do, to do what I do, we don't need any qualifications. Okay, we've had the skills. And I think, suppose obviously as a property teacher, those skills come in handy. They're transferable. But why aren't we teaching these kids how to build businesses, how to be entrepreneurs, how to use money, how to assess risk? How to fail and come back from that. And that doesn't happen. It's great if you've got entrepreneurial parents you can take the reins from. But a lot of these kids don't. They're normal kids in normal families. And whilst on other podcasts we've discussed, we can't afford for everybody to be entrepreneurial and make big bucks. There's got to be a structure in society. But why can't we teach them to build their own businesses? What I always find quite funny, and this is going to sound awful, and I'm probably going to get a bit of criticism here. Why have we got business teachers? Like, when the kids go to do GCSE business, why have we got business studies teachers? Why have they, who don't have any businesses themselves?
Do you know what? There's plenty of entrepreneurs that would go in and educate. Like I've offered to go in to high school, talk about the business, all the rest of it, because I'm passionate about it and it's exciting. And I think it would relate quite well to them, actually. Social media, they'd love it. But I've not had the call yet. But I'd do it.
On that note, though, social media, you say, you don't need qualifications for this and that. It's common, isn't it? Obviously, you've got digital marketing and that kind of thing. But basically, you said you had a little mess around with LinkedIn and that helped you build your business. If someone was listening to this and they thought, where do I even start? Have I just gone?
Yeah. On LinkedIn, right. So there's so many different people out there that are like, do this, do that, post like this, doesn't matter that I have got my own way that works for me. It might not work for somebody that's in a different industry, but when we have clients that we do LinkedIn for, we adapt it and we do what works for their industry. And if we don't know, we find out with them, we explore it. They have to be open to, exploring things and finding out. So for me personally, I'll post 3 to 4 times a week. None of this 7 days, twice a day. No, I post 3 or 4 times a week. And what I tend to do is at the beginning of the week, I post with something that's quite personal. When I say personal, I don't mean that I've got like a spot on my bum or something.
Why? People might want to say.
I haven't. I mean something that's like relatable. Everyday life, something I've done at the weekend, but I'll twist it and add it, like relate it to business a little bit, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but something relatable. And then that kind of performs really well, gets a load of likes, it gets a load of comments. And then the next day or the day after, whichever day I choose to post, I will post something that either adds value or is a bit salesy or educates people to do with the VA world. So that one will never perform as well because it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring, isn't it? So somebody who doesn't need a VA or doesn't think they need a VA,
Yeah.
it's boring.
We all need a VA.
But that, but that first post that's done really, really well, then like boosts the algorithm, and that one then stays up there and performs well. And then the next day, or whatever day it is afterwards, I end it with another personal one because it then shoots it back up. So I surround my little boring, adding value, salesy posts by stupidness, and I am daft on there. I'm me. I don't sit there in a pencil skirt and a blouse and do, formal content. I am me. I've posted pictures with me without makeup. I've posted pictures with me with a towel on my head. That's me. I'm highly organised and ridiculously OTT with plans, but actually I'm a bit of a wobblehead myself. I am. And I'm not even bothered about saying that because everybody else is sorted and oh my God, their lives are like in order. Me, I'm like, oh, what shall I do today? And I share that on there. It's like, what did I share the other day? It was a couple of weekends ago. And I'd gone to Liverpool and this is just like typical me. So I sat at the platform, screen said I had to be on this platform in Chester. I was like, okay, normally go to Manchester. So I was a bit out of my comfort zone already, Sat down and it was like 2 minutes till the train was supposed to come. And I'm like, it's normally here by now. Like, what's going on? And it was one of them like end of the platform. So it wasn't coming through. And then I went and befriended like one of the train guards because I thought he looks like he knows what he's doing. I just chat to anybody. And he's like, oh, it's going to be at another platform. There's an announcement coming soon. So I took it upon myself to go back to the platform and tell everybody, oh, actually, it's going to be on this platform now. And this old lady was just like, oh, I'll come with you. I'm like, okay. So I ended up with this old lady. And we went to the other platform and then we got there and then the train wasn't there. And then it came and my new train guard friend came to me and he's like, we're going to split the train now. You need to get on the front one, this bit at the front. I was like, okay. So I got all the passengers on we got on the train and the sign said Holyhead. And I was like, shit. And we were meant to be going to Liverpool, but they didn't change for 5 minutes. And everyone was like, are you sure? And I'm going, well, that's what my new friend told me. I was like, we could end up in Holyhead, guys. And that's all I did is posted about it on LinkedIn. And everyone was just like, oh, trains, they're a nightmare. Oh, my daughter this, and I got this, and I did that. And just stuff that gets people to talk.
It's like relatable because what I find, my perception of LinkedIn, I've been using it for a couple of years now and it's good for business if you know how to do it.
Yeah.
But what I found was, at first, I used to post loads of really boring stuff, when I did like the leadership business, really boring stuff. Here's 5 ways to engage your team, or here's what every leader should do. Yeah. And it was really boring, unsexy, shit stuff, nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But what builds a business is when it's not about your fonts. When we talk about brands, not fonts, not logo, it's not colours. No. It's you. It's the personal brand. It's the person behind it. So when you're posting that personal stuff, people can relate to that. I know somebody who posts sometimes about crisp flavours.
Yeah.
And it just blows up because everybody can relate to it. But what I think is really clever that you do, if you post something personal, that boosts that algorithm. That's then going to give more attention to the other posts in between. And then you do it again at the end. And not a lot of people know that. How did you learn all this then?
Well, to be honest, I joined like the whole business community and I used to be a part of that as well. And I learned a lot in there, an awful lot in there from Leah, from, everybody in there. But to be honest, it's been trying stuff out. Yeah. I proper geek out over stuff. If I get into something, I'm like, oh, let's try this, let's try that. I like things to work. I'm a fixer. So I just tried stuff out. And when we had clients who were in different industries, I can tell you that if we're doing like lead generation outreach in the DMs, if a client is targeting somebody in HR or education, you speak differently to people in HR than you do to people in education than the rest of the world, right? Yeah. Because for me to get clients, I can be jokey, I can be myself, I can be like, oh yeah, I can send a connect request without a note and just, connect. And that's that. HR are like, everybody goes to HR. There's got to be a note there saying why you're connecting. You've got to be quite upfront. education. You've got to convince them that you're not a big bad stranger danger monster on the internet, because that's how we were programmed in education to be, online. None of this. What was it? Oh, we could go on Facebook. I don't know whether you had this, but we weren't allowed to put our surnames.
Well, I did.
I don't know, I'll put my surname because that's my name. That's me. You're
Yeah.
not taking my identity away from me. Oh, soapbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
No, I agree. And that's the thing. This is the thing. It's like, we've got to teach kids how to be sensible online, how to use social media correctly. Yes, there are people on there who will try to take advantage of young people in a horrible, nasty, creepy way. But if we're teaching them how to use it properly,
online safety.
Yeah. But I think I remember it was a school I worked in, told me to have my Facebook completely private. Okay, fair enough, because the kids, you don't want them seeing your life and that kind of thing. I understand
But what
that.
did they think we were doing on there?
Well, I mean, there's a photo. Well, there's a photo of me in Amsterdam, like hugging a giant penis. So I was like, maybe I should keep that private.
Maybe you should have been private.
But there's photos of me with your friends having drinks and stuff like that, which I understand. And obviously, with working in secondary school, you don't want them to see that kind of side. Like, on one hand, you think if they saw me out having a laugh and my mates having a drink, they'd think I was cool and they might behave better. But in the same breath, like, I'm there to teach them. I'm not their mates. My last school, it was very much the same. Keep yourself safe as a teacher online. But I had to make everything public, because I was like, well, I've got a business here. And it's built around me as a brand. So I'm just going to have to make sure that whatever I'm posting isn't too inappropriate, and hope to God that they don't dig further back. But I think
was like me with LinkedIn, and what I did when I first started it. Not that I was posting anything dodgy on there at all. Now it's dodgy as you like. But woohoo! I've left
on your
teaching. Here she comes. But I just on LinkedIn, I blocked everybody that was to do with. I knew in education, my job. Not that there was actually that many on there, because notoriously they don't really have a lot to do with LinkedIn. I just blocked everybody. And I remember the first time, so a post had gone out and I had a comment on it, and it was like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Carrigan, it's you. Ms, what am I? Don't know. But I was Mrs. then. We'll go with that.
Miss, we can cut that out if you want.
No.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
No shit's given. And they were like, oh, it's you, oh, I thought it was you. I thought I recognised your face. And I remember I was like, and I felt sick. And it was a parent, it wasn't, a child.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, this is what I do alongside school. It's no secret. No. And when I left and the letter went out to parents, it said that I was going to pursue my other career. And I was very honest and open about it with everybody in school and with the parents. Yeah. So, but it was scary, that first kind of, I've been found in my secret place.
Yeah, because that's something that you have separate, isn't it? Because you like to have that separation from your business and your normal, I always call it a normal job, because it isn't, because having your own business is not a normal job.
Oh, not normal. No.
And sometimes I want to sack myself. So I was all about sacking the boss, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I need to sack me. Yeah. I did start telling kids that I was doing property, because I think that there's not enough out there. Their education system doesn't teach them how to go out and make money. It just tells them to go out and really fucking work hard for it, whereas they don't have to do that their whole lives. So I did start telling kids, and funnily enough, I remember and it worked in my favour, telling everybody what I was doing. Because we use other people's money to invest in business, to invest in property.
I was listening to you chatting before. I was like, whoa.
That
sounds cool. My little brain going, oh, maybe I could do this.
Well, I've got a programme coming out in January.
Sign me up.
Path to property. But we used other people's money because we cash burned. We pulled money out of our house, cash burned, and we were like, what are we going to do now? Yeah. Because I was telling everybody what I was doing, one of the caretakers stopped me in school and was like, so you do a bit of property. I've got 80 grand. And I was like,
wow,
I'm on my way to my next lesson. But if you're interested, message me online. And I felt like, oh my God.
Did they become a client?
No, not in the end. I think it was basically time is money, isn't it? And we were taking too long to get that next property deal. And we didn't make that mistake again. Because that 80k, that can get you a few houses, or it depends on your strategy. But I was like, I had that, oh my God, I've been found, even though it was out there.
You feel like you're doing something naughty, don't you?
You do. But that's obviously helped you get business, hasn't it? Because if we don't put ourselves out there, did you ever get business or inquiries from people who never engaged with your social media?
Yeah. My last 5 leads on LinkedIn now, so they're on social media, you know, they're on it, have been people that I wasn't even connected to. So they've seen my content through somebody else's, where you know, they've commented on it and they've gone, oh, who's that? They've commented, or I've just come up on their feed, and I like to think that that's what I've done with the algorithm in order for that to happen. But yeah, they've not even been connected to me. And like yesterday, I was on the train. Where was I going? Manchester. And I had a message on LinkedIn, and it was like, I need a VA. I need them to start Monday. I'm not bothered about getting on a call. Can you send me the contract this afternoon? And I was like, bloody hell.
Amazing.
So I text Holly, who is our ops manager in the team, and I was like, I'm really sorry, but can we get this contract out? Can we do that? And I thought, wow, that person has just literally thrown money at me, signed up. They've never spoken to me. They've never had a call. I sent them my number. I'm like, you know, here's my number if you need anything. And I thought, that's what I've created online, is that familiarity and that trust through my content, that I'm not some blithering idiot, and actually I kind of know what I'm doing.
That's the importance of putting personal stuff online though, isn't it? I have a lot of clients, obviously they're new in property, they might not have necessarily used social media for business before, and I'm like, right, so here's a strategy. I've got a full social media program for these investors, because they're like, well, what do I post? And I'm like, well, you're going to view smelly houses, you need to show people you're viewing smelly houses. So they'll take a picture of an avocado coloured bathroom, and I'm like, no, you need to build a brand around you, because by the time it gets to the point where you need money from other people, obviously you're not asking for it, you're presenting an opportunity, they'll already know you, they'll know what you're doing, they'll know who you are. So instead of taking a photo of an avocado coloured bathroom or brown swirly carpets, get a selfie with it, and watch that reach just expand. People like to buy from people, don't 100%. They? And that's why she's just wanted the contract, because 100%. It's like making people feel like they already know you.
That's exactly what it's like. And if I go to like networking events and things, like with people from LinkedIn, you know, people are, oh, hi, how's so and so, and how's the dog doing? And I'm like, this is weird, I've never met these people before. But also I've met some like amazing people on LinkedIn that have become friends and have been an amazing support. Like, I've had a shitty time the last, I don't know, 5-6 months, and I felt able to not go into too much detail, but I felt able to share that on LinkedIn and to say, I'm not in a great place right now, guys. The business is running fine, you know, this is how I feel. And I did it in a way that I knew was appropriate, in that I'm not kind of, you know, slagging anybody off or, you know, whatever. But I wanted people to know that I wasn't going through a great time. And then I put a post out, must only be about a month ago, and I can't even remember the picture that went with it, but I woke up that morning and I felt, I write what I feel in the morning. We don't do that for clients. It's all like written, scheduled, you know. But for me, I like to post what I feel when I wake up. And I felt like I'd come back. I felt like I'm back, I'm me. And I put it on LinkedIn and it just blew up because everyone was just so happy for me. Even though half of them didn't know what had actually happened, but just knew I wasn't having a great time. And the support and the feeling from that was like, oh.
You do get something special from LinkedIn. I always call them like my little LinkedIn family. And when you post about things that people can relate to, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, do I post this? Do I not post it? And you post it anyway. It's good for you because you're like, this is how I feel. But then it's good for other people because they're like, oh, I'm not alone in this.
It's like journaling though, isn't it? You know, they 100%. Say journal everything makes you feel better, write it down. That's what I do with LinkedIn. Okay, it attracts a certain type of client, I find. You know, we probably wouldn't attract formal corporate, you know, we're kind of, you know, I'll pitch up in my trainers to meet someone type thing. But that's fine because they're the people that I want to work with.
And it's your business and you determine your level of like professionality, whatever the word is.
17 years being professional and 3 years before that learning to be professional.
Fuck that. I some people say to me, like my mum says to me, you swearing on social media, and we're not a family who don't swear. She's swearing on social media. And I'm like, well, so what? Like, I'm my own boss. Only I can sack me if I want to swear. And people, who doesn't swear? Do you know what I mean? Except
My
the
mum,
Queen.
never.
Apart from your mum, yeah. But I bet she does. This is like, who doesn't? And at the end of the day, it's only words. It's only language.
Yeah.
Let's just be normal.
It gives more impact, though. It provides more impact, doesn't it? Like if somebody's got a hook or something on social media and it's like, what is this shit? Or, this, it's like, oh, wow,
But
they
that's
said
it.
that, you know?
It's relatable, and it's what you think and it's what you feel. Going back to what you were saying then about attracting a certain type of client, we've had a couple of conversations about certain creeps sliding into our DMs. So just for those people who are listening, DMs, direct messaging, creeps, pervy men who slide.
Not always men.
Yeah, not always men actually, but we use the word slide because it just feels like they, I don't know, it's a very good effective verb, like slithering in.
A couple of marriage proposals.
Yeah. So let's talk about the funniest things, the creepiest things.
Oh my goodness.
People sliding into your DMs. And for me, it's like, what the fuck were they thinking? Why do they think they can do? What response do they think they're gonna get?
Yeah.
So I've had a creep recently who called me a fucking tease. He said, I told you the other day. So he said, so what does a property guru? I'm not calling myself a guru, but that's what he said. Like a guru do on a like you do on a Monday morning, Friday morning. I was like, oh well, you know me, Alan. Get up and I'll have a nice bath and I'll drink champagne and I'll just go for a walk.
So you do what
like,
I do,
you know, just wine. But I'm like, what are you doing, Al? Winky face. And he was, but I probably invoked it myself, but he was like, oh, you fucking tease. And I was like, oh, you could have just said something else. I've had a few people say that should I say this or not? Yeah. You're very fuckable for a business lady. I've had people say,
feeling a bit left out here.
I've had them all. And I think, do you know what? This is worse than Tinder. You know, the only thing I haven't had is a dick pic. So.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
But this is the thing. Do you think this is, I mean, so what have you had that's funny and worth sharing? And also, it does make you think about being a woman in business, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Does it come with the territory?
I've not had like really funny ones. I've had a lot that are kind of, you know, they chat away and they're like, oh yeah, what services do you offer? Da, 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 da. And I think, oh, okay, not sure whether, but you know, I'll go with it.
VA services.
Yeah. No extras. And then I've had a couple of times where they've gone, oh, shall we move to WhatsApp? And I'm like, move to WhatsApp?
Why?
Like, why? Hang on a minute. Why? So I've had that. I had someone that connected with me and I don't even know how LinkedIn allowed it or did not like know it was there. And in his profile picture he said he was an underwear model, and yeah, you can imagine what his profile picture was. And then all of his content was like him in the shower and stuff.
Oh my God.
I was like, block.
Yeah.
So there was that one. I had one actually that was really, really serious. And they'd got my details off LinkedIn and they'd emailed me a death threat.
Oh, that's awful.
Like a ransom for money and stuff. It was horrendous. I got the police involved and that. But that was, extreme.
God, that's crazy.
Really creepy.
So sending that through like via DM or
email. So they'd got my email from LinkedIn and they referenced things that were on my LinkedIn. So I knew that that's where it was from. And it went into detail. I mean, I don't know how much detail I can go into, but it went into detail about how they were going to kill us and all sorts. It was horrible.
Oh my God.
Bit of a trigger maybe.
That's the thing. Is some people would say, oh, it just comes with the territory of being a woman in business. But actually, this just goes to show, I don't want to like get on my feminist soapbox, but it just goes to show that women, we're just not safe all the time.
It's sad,
and
really,
it's really
it is
sad. We're not safe in certain places. I mean, I'd very much like to just go for a walk at night around the forest in the moonlight with headphones in. But we're not safe. And if you're not safe outside, you're not safe online. What happened then? What was the outcome? What did the police do?
They couldn't do anything because it was from abroad and, you know, all sorts. But I had nothing else, you know, come of it.
Thankfully. Oh my God.
But you mentioning that about women not being safe and all the rest of it. I'm a bit of a rebel in that department because and my friends go mad at me. So it was only last night, well, it was kind of mid-afternoon, but anyway, no, late afternoon in Manchester yesterday. And I'm like walking around by myself, you know, my friend had gone home and that was that. I thought, I'll go for a drink by myself. Oh, I'll go and have some tea, you know. I'm quite happy being on my own, walking around. Okay, you know, I'd had a few drinks. But I'm not bothered by that. I then get on the train on my own. First thing you said to me, I sent you a photo, didn't I? Because
it was on Instagram, and I was like, "Are you on your own?"
And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm one of these that I'm like, "I'll do it. I'll be on my own. I'm not having anybody." You know, I'm a bit kind of like shirty like that, and my friends go mad, and they're like, "Look, there's no prizes for being brave. Like, just chill." But
that, especially when you've had a drink, you're more vulnerable, aren't you? But no, I like to think that, you know, I'd probably put up a good fight, but in the same breath, it's like putting yourself in that situation. Do you know, I used to sneak out of the house at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and with people. Sorry, mum. No, she knew, because she used to take the key away in the end. But then, because she took the front door key away because she knew what I was doing. The house that we lived in was a terraced house, and it was one of those where the bathroom was an extension downstairs. So my window, we used to get on the roof. So my window opened really wide. I'd climb on the roof, and oh my God, thinking about the structural integrity of that roof, I'm surprised I was a lot smaller and thinner than I am now. And then where we lived it wasn't great. We had a tiny yard, and on that yard we had glass in the brick of the yard, you know, like when it's cemented into the top of the wall. And I can't remember if there was barbed wire. I think there might have been, and there was like vandal grease and things like that. So how I didn't die is like, never mind. I know, never mind. Like the sneaking out and like the imminent danger. I almost killed myself trying to sneak out. But when I think about Eve, I used to go out on my own. I used to meet up with friends, or I used to have my mate Claire used to stay, and then we used to sneak out together. And the danger that we were putting ourselves in, I'd never dream of doing that now. But we aren't safe, and as much as
it's a bit different now, though. I think though, like, okay, let's not get onto the whole phones or no phones for kids argument. But so my girls are 12 and 9. I didn't want the 9-year-old to have a phone. She's got one. But it's got no data on it. But I can ring her. So if she's playing out with her mates on the street or whatever, and she goes around the corner or she goes to the park, I can ring her. And I like that. So I was one of these people that was like, oh, children shouldn't have phones and all this. But I'm actually really grateful that she's got one, because I don't know how like our parents coped with us just going out and not knowing where we were.
I did have a phone, but it was like
it was like totally
no, because you're the same age as me, or you're like not. You're how old? I'm 37. So, but I had like one of those brick Nokias that you could put about three letters in, and I used to use that as like my time basically. I mean, my mum used to ring me, you're 2 minutes late. She used to ground me if I was literally 2 minutes late. I used to think she was dead strict. I think she was in a lot of ways, but I don't blame her really, because I was a little cow. But yeah, I think it's good. I think kids should be able to have phones. I think we just have to teach them how to use them.
And how to be safe.
And total random tangent, they've now banned social media in Australia, I think, haven't they, for kids under 16, or is that I think that was on the news not long ago, and I just thought, oh, that is so cruel. Imagine being a teenager on Facebook. So okay, having a phone, but having them not having social media, I can get on board with that. See, I think about it from a business point of view, and I think at that age, yes, we just need to teach them how to use it effectively. Make sure that they are of good mental health, and if they're struggling with, especially I've worked with teenage girls, they compare themselves, they post photos for validation, they have creeps messaging them, but who doesn't? It's about teaching them to work with it, not against it. And I'm thinking, if they ever want to go into business,
and if they haven't got access to it, they can't learn it, they can't speak.
And I'm very much of the opinion, I think, you can have a website, you can go to networking events, but effectively, if you're serious about building a business, you've got to be able to use social media. But there are dangers to that. So speaking of that then, so if we just, I had a question in my head and I've forgotten what it is now. Let me just, we were talking about social media. And then we were talking about kids. And then, I don't know if this is relevant. So speaking of social media, going back to you building the business alongside school, you're posting online to try and build that business. Were there any issues with school? Were they happy for you to do that? Were they against it? Or
to be honest, I never had a problem, mainly because I did just keep it on the quiet. It wasn't a secret. They knew that that's where I was marketing and that's that, because I just blocked everybody. Nobody ever said anything. And I think it was because they knew I was on my way out. Oh, she'll be gone soon. Doesn't really matter.
She'll be,
And I never posted anything I wanted to speak about education. I wanted to speak about school, but I didn't. And there was one post I did and it went wild. And it was the day of the teacher strikes, actually, and it was over pay. And I just wrote my head down on, well, not on paper, but on LinkedIn, and shared my thoughts on it from the perspective of a business owner that's an ex-teacher, or wasn't, a bit of both at the time. And it went wild. And people from the world of business were going, oh, I had no idea that was the case. I had no idea about this. So that felt good because I felt like I was bringing a bit of recognition to it. But that felt a little bit, oh, I'm still working in a school, But when I finished teaching, I literally was like, I'm going to put a swear word on there. Yeah. I'm going to post a picture in like a short dress, just stuff that I thought.
You rebel.
Stuff that I thought, I best not do that, because of the parents. So I best just keep it a bit, And I must look back actually from when I first left. And I bet that week is just like wild, like, woohoo, she's moved home.
It's liberating though, isn't it? And you can say things that you weren't able to say as a teacher. Yeah. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? But then I think, no, I'm never going back to that. I will never be in a classroom again. As sad as that is, because like you, I loved teaching. I loved classroom teaching. Didn't like the shit that came with it. I didn't like the admin, the marking, the planning, all of that. The planning was all right because you could get creative with it. But just unfortunately, it's not a world designed for every child to thrive. Education, is it? And I used to post a lot about the strikes. I ended up on the news once.
Did you?
Oh my God. I literally ended up on the news. Oh my God. I went into school the next day after the strike. It was the strike. It was like, I think it was 2013 in Liverpool. And I was a young teacher rep for the NUT.
Oh, I was a rep for the other one.
Yeah. We were like, this like pro-union. And I went into school the next day and they were like, you were on the news. Oh my God, you're on the... And I was like, what? I didn't... Basically, I was on the news carrying a banner. So, those ones that have got two poles. It's like, so I was carrying one half of it. And they were like, yeah, you looked really passionate. Like you were going to burn cities and storm the Capitol. And I was like, okay, didn't realise. Anyway, watched it back. I've got a face like fucking thunder. I look awful. But at the time, like it looks like I'm really passionate about the cause. But I was sweating my arse off trying to hold it up because it was so heavy. And I remember like we were going uphill by the cobbles in Liverpool. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm going to drop this. I had no idea there were cameras even there. But yeah, I thought, well, do you know what? I'll do it for the teachers.
But isn't that really interesting as business owners now that we were both union reps? So does that show... I was always the one to speak out. I hate unfairness.
Same.
I hate people who won't speak up for themselves. I'm always that person who will speak up for other people if they won't, if they don't feel they can. And yeah, that's just interesting. I wonder whether there's a little bit of a mentality.
I'm very much the same. I was always the person who stood up for someone, stood up for myself, even though half the time I'd be shitting my pants.
Oh,
but
same.
I did it.
I never felt... Everybody always used to say, oh, you're so confident, you're so brave, how do you do that? Inside, I'd be absolutely shaking, and I had to learn to voice that and voice it in the right way. And there were a couple of teachers in school like, oh, you're so intimidating. And I'm like, am I? Because inside I'd be like, oh, but I just... Somebody says, oh, yeah, can you do that? Can you do it in your planning time or whatever? No, you will not. That's your planning time. Don't be,
And you've got to protect it. I used to want to protect the young teachers as well because like me or like anyone going into any job, you're a yes person. Or, I'll do it. Yeah, and
I'll do the Christmas play. I'll stay after school and do netball.
Yeah, fucking what an absolute load of shit. All this extra shit you do for free. And you put aside your own time, your life, your family and all of that because you want the best for these kids and what have you. But I was very much I wouldn't say it too unionized, but because there's an element that you have to do.
Yes.
Yeah, you've just got to get on with it.
And I was the same. Yeah,
you've got to do it. But there's also... Actually, you need to protect your own mental health. Yeah. You need to protect your time. And people have to realise that time isn't always free. And that's one thing I actually struggle with in business. And I wonder if this is the same for you. It's probably a teacher thing. You go into it because you want to help people. You want to help kids. You want to help people, whatever. Your business, you change people's lives, getting them organised, doing the tasks for them. You basically help people run their lives and their businesses. I help people get into property and start businesses and grow wealth. we help people. But what I had a real issue with at the beginning when I first started like mentoring people was charging. Not just charging, you know, obviously, yes, this is the
We were used
cost.
to working for free.
Yeah. You used to literally just saying, take my blood,
Yeah.
take everything.
We were used to working for free. And it was so icky at the beginning. Like, I'm just going to send you an invoice if that's okay. I'm no rush to pay it. You know, and I totally, and now I'm like, invoice, no money, no work.
Yeah, it's due on this day. And I've had to be a little bit more cutthroat, and I've put my prices up as well. And that's something I struggled with. Because when I look at what other people are charging, I'm not the most expensive, but I'm certainly not cheap. But it's about, I always say, like, what is it? Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And like, I'm not teaching people how to buy washing machines. Do you know, it's property. I'm not regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. I've got to have a lot of protection in place for myself. But I found it really hard to charge. And even now, you always give more than what you get paid for because it's good for business and it's who you are.
Definitely.
But putting the prices up, I had a real issue with, and probably the over delivery used to be too much. Yeah.
I put mine up a smidge since I started. I think it was like £2 an hour more or something. But now, because we're VAT registered, I've got to be careful. So we charge 35 an hour plus VAT.
Yeah.
There are lots of VAs out there that are 35 an hour.
Yeah.
So I don't feel I can put mine up. I just feel what we charge is fair.
Yes.
For what we do. And I know, you know, people are like, put your prices up, you know, monetize this, monetize that. That I'm happy with what we charge, and I think it's a fair price for what we do.
Yeah.
At the moment, you know, obviously things will change, inflation, whatever. And that's why, like, on the side, although we kind of haven't got it going properly yet, is myself and Luke, who's another VA.
Yeah, Luke Manton.
We've built the Duke Academy, which is to train people how to be VAs, or VAs that want to upskill or want to scale, or, you know, all the rest of it. And again, it's the teaching element, isn't it? So for me, we're going to monetize that. Digital guides, it might end up being in-person training, we want to do awards, you know, it will be the main thing eventually, but, you know, the pair of us have just had a bit of a pause the last few months, shall we say, and that's where I will make more money. Spacetime, I don't want Spacetime to get too big. There's 12 of us, doesn't mean whether there's 12 of us or 6 of us in the team, it doesn't matter, because it goes on the amount of hours that they work. So there could be 12 people doing 10 hours a month. That's not really a team of 12. You know, do you know what I mean? There could be 6 people doing 90 hours a month. It's not the size of the team, it's the amount of hours, retainer hours, that you're kind of using for clients. But I found that once we got to, I'd say, 8 of us, it was like, whoa. That's when I brought, well, Holly had always worked with me anyway, but that's when Holly started managing the team, doing the client contracts, all the rest of it. So I put my money where my mouth was, and like, I'm talking the talk, let's walk the walk and get my own VA. And I had to do that. I couldn't manage it on my own. But I wouldn't want it to be double what it is. It would just be, it's still personal, it's still friendly. We are not a matchmaking agency where, oh yeah, so-and-so would be good for you. We all know each other so well. We've had like a team weekend away. We have our WhatsApp group where we all drop stupid photos in it, like what you're having for your lunch, or the conversations that go on our team WhatsApp. I can't even... No, I can't. They're mad, because we work hard, play hard. And everybody's supportive.
But that's brilliant, because a lot of people who are business owners, like in a previous podcast with Tony Edwards, who's a property developer and investor, at the beginning he was like, I want to do it on my own, I'm going to be a millionaire on my own. And, you know, but actually when you leverage, I talk about leverage a lot, and like property, when you leverage other people's skills and talents and you work together collaboratively, you win, they win, the clients win. I'm very much of the opinion that I will never teach anything I can't do effectively. So if someone said to me, Steph, I need an 8-bed HMO, or I'm going to do a commercial to resi conversion, no. I can't do that. I could point you in the direction of somebody else who can. And I really like your business model, and I think we had a chat about this not long ago. I want to bring people in as well into my business who can teach the things that I can't teach, and I think that's something that is builds the business up to, you get bigger, you get noticed more, you make more money, but you're also there for the people who actually need that service. At what point then was there this is it, I'm done? The day you hand your notice in.
Yeah, there was. I was always very, I'll just keep my 2 days a week for a bit of safety and a bit of security. And it was actually, it was Leah Turner, so Holt founder. And she said to me, she was like, right, you are where I was X amount of years ago. This was me with my business. You have to hand your notice in. And I think there'd been a massive flood of inquiries in the business, and I physically just wasn't managing. I was so tired trying to like sort everything. And she was just like, you have to hand your notice in now. And I was like, oh. And so I did. I wouldn't have done it if she didn't tell me to. I'd probably still be doing 2 days a week now, for goodness sake. No, I wouldn't. Oh, God, I wouldn't. But that's why I did it. And I went and handed my notice in. Tell a lie. I requested to go 1 day a week and it was denied.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, well, you either stick at 2 days or you leave.
Yeah.
So I did. I went and handed my notice in, and oh my goodness, I felt like I was so relaxed while I was working my notice. Don't get me wrong, I was still doing a decent job, but I was concentrating on the things that mattered.
Yeah.
So all the extra stuff that I was asked to do.
Nah, just do a good job.
I just did a good job. I was probably the best teacher I've ever been for those 3 months.
Yeah, same, actually. Absolutely the same, because you don't have all of that impending doom, I called it. You know, when you finish for summer and you're like, oh, great, I've got a break. But I really haven't.
They're all talking about inspections.
Yeah,
I won't be here then.
Oh, my God. Well, it was for me, that was the inspection idea. So how many times in 13 years in education, from being a TA to PGCE to teaching, maybe 6 or 7 times across different schools. And it was the day the head stood. I finished in a lovely school. I'm really lucky to be one of those teachers who finished in a school they actually really enjoyed working in. And I loved my team, and I really still do miss them. And the head teacher was lovely. I taught both of his daughters. One of them I taught through GCSE. Really lovely family. And he stood at the front and he said, oh, Eston are coming in. So for those who don't know, Eston, it's the Welsh Ofsted. But it wasn't a full inspection. It was
like an interim.
We're coming in and we're going to inspect literacy levels in year 8 or something like that, I think it was. And I was sat there, so it was Easter. I sat there in the briefing. Obviously all that Easter revelry had just died and gone away, and like Jesus had risen, but I was like slowly sinking kind of thing. And all that Easter revelry going, wanting to make my coffee Irish. And I was sat there just listening to him go on and on and on. And I thought, how many fucking hoops are we going to have to jump through? And I know we have to be accountable. I know that. And anyone who is a good teacher, we don't mind. Come into my classroom, look in their books, inspect me, give me feedback.
Come and see me doing the job.
Absolutely,
not
you
a
are welcome.
Fake show.
The door's always open. Do what you will. But I just thought, I'm so sick of this. Like, how many more hoops? How many times have I got to cross the T's and dot the I's? And I was had illiteracy, so I didn't know what they were looking for, or anyway. So I just sat there and I thought, this is it. It's today. If I don't do it today, I'll have to work in September, because we've got to give a whole term's notice, haven't we? So
I managed to get out early, actually.
In December.
I went 31st of December. I think I only handed my notice in. It wasn't the normal.
Yeah, that's
period,
lucky then.
But I think it was only because I was doing a job share 2 days a week, and there was a lady that was doing supply cover for another teacher, and it would have worked out when she came back, she'd be free. So because they had somebody, they were just like, go.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah. But then if there's not many hours to cover, that's easier for them.
Yeah.
I've briefing ended. I followed him into the office and I said, I'm handing him a notice today. And he was like, oh. Yeah. And even saying it, like, I'm sacking my boss. I mean, I had a great boss, but I was like, I'm sacking the boss. And this is it. First year out in business on my own, really tough, like super hard. Was in business with someone who was just looking to bring me down, and unfortunately, we're very manipulative. Narcissistic, most likely as well. But then when you make that break away, so in the last sort of 6, well, maybe 7 to 8 months, it's just gone. And I think that I like to think that the universe doesn't give you things you can't handle.
Yeah.
So, but
really?
Yeah. Well,
I'm kind of sick of the universe right now.
Just sick of being tested.
I'm done with being tested. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fucking sick of it. But I do think that, and I think you move one thing out of your life, you make space for something else.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think the negative goes. The universe has a funny way of.
I've gone proper woo woo. I'm on board with this. I do a gratitude journal at night.
Where have you been? You should have. Yeah.
Check me out.
Oh my God. But gratitude is scientifically proven, the practice of it, to make you happier.
It's working.
Yeah, it
I'm
does
very happy.
work. Yeah, it does. Have you read The Secret?
No, I've heard of it, but I've not read it. No.
I never got on board with the woo-woo, fluffy, cheesy, manifest, visualize, all of that. Or law of attraction. I hadn't really fully heard of it though until I went into business. And I remember listening to The Secret a couple of times thinking, actually, this has worked my whole life.
Yeah.
I've wanted something, I've visualized it, and it's happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people think you just visualize it and it comes, it doesn't.
It's getting comfortable with saying, I get what I want.
Yeah. And then putting the actions in. Yeah. We put the actions in because those actions have got a link to what we want. But it is getting comfortable with that. And women don't do that often enough. We don't think, I don't know, some of my clients don't think that they deserve wealth or they don't deserve to build it, or
I think some people as well look at women who say things like that, like me then saying I get what I want, and think, God, cocky cow, who's she? But
it's not though, it's factual.
Yeah.
And that's what, and anyone who looks on, and I've received shit online before, cocky, arrogant, rich bitch, and I'm not rich, all of that, and you just think, well, that's your mindset, and what you think of me. What you think of me, none of my business. If you think I'm cocky, arrogant, whatever, that's I'm not responsible for your insecurity.
Yeah. We touched on this last week, didn't we, when we met, and it was just like, you are who you are, and you get on with who you get on with. And I said to you last week, didn't I, that notoriously I get on with men better than women. And we had that whole conversation about whereas I get on with women that have like a male energy, and we went down a total rabbit hole of like...
Yeah, but that's what we do. So how do you help your clients? And we've talked about the different people that you've got in your business and the different services that they can offer for different clients. So if I came to you now and I said, I need lead generation, I need people to buy my program, I need investors to invest in my business, I need brand awareness, I need email campaigns. You'd be getting a
damn big retainer, that's what.
How can you help people?
So basically, I'd meet with potential client. We'd speak about their needs, what they want help with, what they could potentially outsource. People are normally quite scared at first to outsource. It's like their baby, letting go. And I always say to people, start with one or two things and then let's grow. Yeah. Because, build that trust up, build the relationship up with your VA, all the rest of it. I'd listen to what their needs were. In my head, I'd be thinking, right, okay, well, so-and-so would be perfect for that. I know that they've got capacity. Then we'd figure out how much time they want to throw at it. Yes, we do charge time for money. That's how we do it. It's, 10 hours a month minimum retainers. And then normally people are like, well, I don't know. I don't know how much time it'll take. So I then kind of like swivel it back to them and say, how much do you want to invest in it? Yeah. And let's work it out that way. And they'll say, I've got, $1,000 a month to throw into it. And we'll say, right, okay, well, let's do 30 hours a month, which is 1,050 plus VAT. And we work that out so that it's like an equalish amount of time each week. They're then happy, want to come on board. We do a 3-month initial term, and then it goes to rolling monthly, so anyone can get out. Then they have a 15-minute meet and greet with the VA that I think would be suitable to check they're not a big scary monster and I'm not lying. Holly sends a contract out, contract signed, invoice goes over to them, they pay, boom, off we go. And that's it.
I love that. It's so straightforward.
You've got to make it straightforward because people are overwhelmed anyway, coming to you. And then I just end up quality control. I know all of our clients. Yeah. I'm not just a silent, founder lurking in the corner. I'm like, everything all right? Any feedback? I send newsletters out. It's like the newsletter that, it's not going out till next week actually. But anyway, be out by the time this is up. And like in the newsletter, we've put that one of the team has had a baby. Yeah. One of the team has got a puppy. Oh. I'm going through a divorce. I've put it in my newsletter. Yeah. Our clients I am me with them, and I think that's what makes us a little bit different is we're us. We're not pretending to be something we're not. We're honest, we're transparent, we don't wing it, we hold our hands up if like we don't know how to do something, but we'll go and find out. And
that's probably what's contributed to building a business and getting continual leads, that alongside you and your raw, authentic, honest, all right, you're not posting about a spot on your bum.
But, I haven't.
Yeah, not yet.
You can check after.
She has an Instagram page of it. But that's the thing, and that's why you've been successful building your business. So to round off, if you could give advice to a woman who is thinking about leaving her job because a business is building, or thinking about starting a business, or even a teacher wanting to leave teaching and start a business, what would you say? What would you say to them? Would you give them advice? Would you just tell them to fucking do it anyway?
I'd say don't rule it out. First of all, I'd say you're not just a teacher.
Yeah.
You're not just, that's not the only thing in the world that you can do, because I think that's what many people do think is, oh no, I've only done this job, I can only do this. Look at what skills you have, research online, what jobs can you do, with those skills, research it, build it up, do it alongside it. Don't just leave everything and risk it. That would be a little bit daft. Like I had saved up, I think it was 3 months worth of wages in case, which isn't that much.
No, but still.
Just in case things went wrong. And when you're in that position, you've just got to do it. And if we're talking about teaching in particular, you can always go back to it.
Yeah.
I never will.
No.
But you can always go back. Like I always thought to myself, if this doesn't work, I'll go and do a day supply week, or I'll go and do 2 day supply week. So I always had that little safety net, there. But I'd say to people, just research the hell out of it. Research, teach yourself, geek out on it. Get it in your head that this is what you are going to do eventually. And then damn well do it, because life's better on the other side.
Oh my God, it's so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
Scary, risky, but hey, we go with it.
Yeah. But it's a calculated risk. It's a planned risk. Yes. It's an educated risk. Yes. And that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think my impulsivity sometimes with the ADHD, I'm like, yeah, we'll just do it. We'll start a new business. We'll convert camper vans and sell them. And then
I really want a camper van.
Yeah, well, Phil can do a camper van conversion. Okay. So you did ours. But I don't know, it'd probably be cringing listening to this. I'm thinking, I'm not going through the pain of another one. He did a great job though. It's not quite finished yet. But yeah, I would say just do it as well. Yeah. And I think especially for teachers, we think, oh, this is all we're worth, or this is all we do. Nah, like we're still teachers. Yeah. We're just doing it on a different scale.
But surround yourself as well with people that are already there.
Yeah.
So whether it's joining an online community, whether it's posting on social media and building up, a bit of an audience there, surround yourself with people that are already doing it.
Yeah.
And will make it less scary. You won't feel alone, because, I needed that.
Yeah, that helped us in property actually as well, because when you're surrounding yourself with people who are where you want to be, it fuels you a little bit as well. And also business is hard. And on social media, for a lot of people, they can paint a very unrealistic picture of what life is like. I think sometimes on my social media looks all so glamorous and I'm like, oh, I'm drinking champagne and it's nice and it's fun and I like doing those reels, but what they're not seeing is that I'm traipsing through properties full of damp and cobwebs and seeing mannequins hang from rafters and being trapped in a room with a Phantom of the Opera wannabe guy whilst he puts his fake flame fire on and starts waving to this invisible orchestra, and we were only trying to buy his house. So they didn't tell you that. No, but thank you. So how can people get in touch with you if they want a VA?
Mainly LinkedIn. So Danielle Carrigan on LinkedIn. I have got Instagram at Spacetime_VA. Instagram's my playground, but I'm still there. And yeah, main thing really.
Lovely. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.